Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Welcome back to story time. I thought now would be a good time to continue my particular little BattleTech journey. Though, before I continue, I think I should go back just a little. I left out a minor part, but one that I think is worth mentioning, if only briefly. The 1989 MechWarrior was my main way of experiencing BattleTech for almost a decade. Though I did have one side note. One weekend, my dad let me rent a game from a video store. It was rare, but it did happen. I quickly snatched up MechWarrior for the SNES. It was a different MechWarrior experience. At the time, I thought it was a very bad copy of the PC game I had. For obvious reasons, it did not make much of an impression. Although, sometimes, when I see a stalker, it reminds me of this thing. There was a follow-up game, MechWarrior 3050 for the SNES, or renamed BattleTech for the Sega Genesis. I think I played it once at a friend's house back in the day, but the less said about that game the better. As bad as the SNES MechWarrior was, at least it kind of made sense. The follow-up was a bad copy of Desert Strike with an equally bad BattleTech skin. When I left off, I mentioned that I built my PC and played MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries and MechWarrior 3. We were blessed to have two awesome MechWarrior games released back to back. While laughable by today's standards, the graphics of MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries was a step up, and running your own mercenary company opened up so many options and challenges. Plus, you could hire an Aerotech fighter that was dumb, but it was awesome. Broken in many ways, but if you haven't, you should try it. MechWarrior 3 was another step up in graphics that still stand up today. Well, at least if you don't look too closely. I love the story, the look and feel of the weapons, and that PPC. That is what I still envision it as. I put more hours into MechWarrior 3 than into any other MechWarrior game. It's that good. When I started college, I finally got to play multiplayer with other people for the first time. While we spent most of our gaming time playing the original StarCraft, sometimes I would convince people to play MechWarrior 3. It was fun, and people started getting into MechWarrior and talking about BattleTech. My first year, my new friends and I revived the Dead Games Club. We were something of a haven for nerds, misfits, class clowns, and those that did not really fit in anywhere else. As you can imagine, we received no funding, and the college games library was a chess set and a volleyball net that had far more holes than it should. We wanted to fundraise, so I got my hands on the club activity handbook, and being the gamer, rules lawyer, min-maxing 20-year-old I was, a plan quickly came together. Our club faculty sponsor was a cool old professor, close to retirement, and best of all, a World War II minis gamer, big Simpsons fan, and a bit of a comic book nerd himself. You see, a club could use a computer lab for club activities. All we needed was a teaching-level faculty staff to sign on and chaperone, as well as an IT department rep for setup. Well, I'll give you one guess where my work study assignment was. One day, we turned in the paperwork. No one really read it, and we got assigned our computer lab. After a few installations, we opened up the Games Club PC arcade. For just a few bucks, you could come in to what was essentially a 40 to 50 PC LAN party with better computers than most of us could afford. We even had those little colored paper bracelets showing who paid for what and everything. Sure, Quake 3, StarCraft, Team Fortress, and Counter-Strike were the most popular games, but we had 4-on-4 MechWarrior 3 running in the back. Plus, we pooled our resources and had a MechWarrior 3 PC rigged up with a joystick, throttle, foot pedals, so you could play missions in style. That was super popular. I like to think many a MechWarrior fan was made that day. Speaking of being made, we made bank. Well, for college kids with no budget, we made bank. We were set to run all day, right up until the school closed. But, sadly, nothing good can last long. Word got around, and sure enough, one of those kinds of people showed up. I don't want to dox anyone here, so let's just call this person Karen. We got one of those, "What do you think you're doing? You can't do this. This is a college campus, not a mall," and so on. As is often the case with people named Karen, having the proper paperwork only made the situation more heated. Karen stormed off and apparently called the dean. We were shut down hard. The IT director showed up in person and everything. While the general staff was cool, a few lower-level staff even bought entry and played on their breaks and lunch. College leadership was certainly not. Our sponsor, let's call him Professor X. Yeah, let's go with that. I think he would like the reference. He tried to defend us, but nothing could stop the monologue of all the classics. Inappropriate this, disappointment that, dignified higher learning institution, blah, blah, blah. Even at the time, I was kinda surprised the licensing of the games we were playing was never brought up. Long story short, our paperwork saved us from any serious disciplinary action. Though, my work-study assignment changed the next semester. Rules were changed and we were warned, very clearly, to never do anything even close to that again. While I'm not the most rebellious by nature, collectively, our group did not react well to our tongue lashing, and our president was an asshole. That assholiness proved to be somewhat contagious in our little group, and now we had a wad of cash. After a little more fundraising, replacing that volleyball net with one that had the proper number of holes, reinflating some old basketballs and footballs we found, and generally behaving ourselves for almost a year, the opportunity presented itself. You see, the college hosted a spring student community picnic that the students were in charge of. Clubs and organizations were tasked with making some kind of contribution. The student body was shocked, and the right people dismayed, when the nerds of the Games Club contribution was Battle of the Bands. It was just the right mix of awful local metal band wannabes. Oh, I wish I could take more credit for that loveliness. I helped as best I could with that epic troll, but real life was invading on me fast. Still, it was glorious to eat my Polish sausage, courtesy of the German club, watching the school officials try to smile at the community guests while a trash band failed in their Metallica cover. Things were getting to be just too much. Going to class in the morning, work-study after lunch, cooking pizzas in the evening and night, with Games Club trouble causing and Dungeons & Dragons games squeezed in. My grades started to slip, and my wallet was more than empty. One of my last fun purchases was MechWarrior 4. It would be a long time before I got a chance to play through it. I was forced to drop out and concentrate on getting a real job. It forced me to get my life in order. Spoiler alert, I would finish my degree later, but the last vestiges of childhood was over for me, and adulthood hit me in full force. MechWarrior 4 is a great game, but it was a dark time when I played it, and I think that affects my feelings towards it. I was forced to drop out of college, and I was working long hours at my first professional job. I moved into my dad's unfinished basement, and I saved every penny I could. My dad got so concerned with my extreme measures, he told me one day, "Buy something for yourself. I don't care what it is, just buy something because you want it. I'm afraid you will go crazy if you don't." Back then, my judgment was not the best. The flea market katana looked ridiculous on the basement wall. Eventually, I managed to find a house in my price range, and suddenly there was even more adulting to do. FAFSA had ended when I was in college, and was truly dead by that time. The 8:30 to 5:30 plus 2, sometimes more Saturdays a month, home repairs, car repairs, normal chores, and that my nerdy friends moved away starting their own lives, put an end to my gaming days. And because the universe just loves to rub salt into the wounds, that small comic and game store I went to as a kid, the one with the map of the inner sphere that led me to connect MechWarrior to BattleTech, closed forever. Time passed and my gaming collection collected dust. Then, one day, I walked into a new game store. It was, well, it just wasn't the same. By then, 40K ruled the world, and like 90% of the store was either 40K or Magic the Gathering. I almost left, but there, in the back, was a big table. Some guys were sitting around playing a game with some familiar-looking minis. I walked over and looked down, and there they were, the old classics, the Warhammer, the Phoenix Hawk, the Rifleman, the Marauder, but next to them were some other mechs. I recognized the mechs from my younger days sitting and reading my 3025 technical readout, but I had never seen those plastic minis before. Then my eyes connected to a box I will never forget. Seeing my interest, those guys offered me a seat and asked if I had ever heard of BattleTech before. Well, I think I've talked your ear off enough for now. Next time, I'll tell you about my return to BattleTech, about uncovering my childhood collection, then adding to it to a point that I never really intended. Before I go, I will say this, though. Sometimes Catalyst Game Labs is a controversial topic. There are fans out there that really don't like where they have taken BattleTech. While I'm largely positive about Catalyst, I can say Catalyst and I don't always see eye to eye. Despite some disagreements I have, I am grateful to Catalyst. Without them, without that box set sitting on that table on that day, well, things could have gone very differently for me. Thank you, Catalyst, for putting out a product that caused those people to demo that game, that caused me to sit down and play a game I had not seen in over 10 years at that point. Thank you for, as indirect as it may have been, causing me to remember what I had lost. Thank you. And since I'm in the mood for thanking people, I'd like to thank Tex of the Black Pants Legion for showing me what a BattleTech YouTube channel could be, and generally being awesome. Thank you to all those early YouTubers that made all this possible in the first place. Thank you to Ouchie's Bat Reps for hours of battle reps that inspired me to make my own. Please come back to YouTube soon. Thank you for Battlebound for the team-ups. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for being great. Thank you to Jenny for putting up and now even occasionally participating in my foolishness. Finally, thank you to each and every one of you. Without you, I would just be sitting here talking to myself, which contrary to popular belief, is not a sign of insanity. It's when you start answering yourself that shows you're nuts, right? Yeah, that's it. Anyway, thank you for watching and for your overwhelmingly positive comments. It really makes all the difference. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.